What's up guys, Sekapoko here, bringing you another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. For this, I'll be doing my penta-max Robin showcase. And I just pulled Legend Robin, so I'm super stoked about her, and actually I'm going to play around with her a little bit. So what I'm going to do in the showcase, I'm going to show like some of her higher potential damage, as well as showing off what she was actually like intended to be used for in a Colosseum fight. And I think this will actually show a really great way of showing exactly how strong Robin is. It'll show you some of the strengths and weaknesses she does have, and give you an overall idea of if you like her or not like her as a legend. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So let's go ahead and go over Robin as a unit. Robin is going to be a cerebral fighter character that's going to have 4 combo hits and 5 sockets. She's going to be a cerebral fighter, and that is nice for many reasons, and I'll go over why in a second. Initially, she maxes out at 1450 attack, and with max KD, she goes up to 1650. With max limit break, she goes up to 1850, which may seem semi-low or high, depending on how you want to look at it. It's okay. She's going to max out at 593 recovery after her limit break, which is very important. Because her captain ability is based recovery, and he's going to max out at 3,180 HP during her max limit break. Her captain ability is going to be boosting the attack of cerebral characters by 3.25, and then boosts their recovery by 1.5. That part is insane. That's really freaking strong. She's also going to make recovery orbs beneficial to cerebral characters and then reduce damage by 20%. Now, the recovery orb beneficial enable is not super helpful. It's kind of helpful if you're going to be using you're not going to be using the Zunisha ship and you'll be using the Red Force. But if you're using the Zunisha ship, the recovery orb beneficial obviously is useless at that point. But the big thing here that she does that is super amazing is the 1.5 times recovery and the 20% damage reduction. So with 2 Robins, it's not a 40% damage reduction. I think it's like 36 or something. A 36% damage reduction. And if you guys get max damage reduction sockets, it's going to go all the way up to 42.4% damage reduction, which is insanely high with max DR sockets. So that is insane. She's also going to get int damage reduction, so you're going to get even more of that if you max out the int damage reduction as well on her. So that goes up, I believe, to 5%, so you can get like even more damage reduction if you really want to. And then you have other people on your team that have damage reduction as well, so you can just get tons and tons of damage reduction. So the thing with Robin is that you take so much reduced damage, even though you have a lower HP pool, you're still going to be at 20,000 or so HP because of such high HP, just from base stats. Her sailor abilities initially she can have nothing, but she's just going to have 2 different sailor abilities when she's at max limit break. The first one is going to be attack and HP of cerebral characters by 50, which is pretty good. And the second one is really good, which is make Psi recovery tandem and beneficial for cerebral characters, making it so that if you ever use Robin as a sub, it's a really good idea to use the Red Force ship instead of using the Zunisha ship, unless you really want to hit perfects and you're really bad at hitting perfects. Like, so otherwise, I think Robin is an amazing sub, an amazing captain. Overall, really good for her sailor abilities and captain abilities. And her special ability is the awesomest special ability for utility in the game. What it does is going to reduce all damage received by 100%. And then if your captain is a cerebral character, changes adjacent orbs into recovery orbs. Which means you can actually use Robin on any team in the entire game, and you're still going to get that 100% damage reduction. Which means that so any death hit is going to be negated. Anytime you can't delay an enemy, but you have to take a first hit, she can use her. There's tons of reasons to need that. And she's the first non-conditional defense damage reducer in the entire game, which is really, really, really good. And the fact that it's 100% damage reduction negates all damage is very, 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 very strong. I really like this unit a lot. And you may not think it's a great unit because it doesn't boost damage, but there are tons of times where you need to take a hit. And that one hit is going to like be a monster hit, like a billion damage or whatever. And this is actually, which is really nice for 100% damage reduction, is if a boss doesn't have any weird mechanics like bind, despair, paralyze, or something like that, or heal below 20%. If they just do a large damage amount below 20%, this actually enables you to get a boss below 20% if you want to. So it creates a nice safety net for a lot of teams, which is pretty cool. She's going to have 3 limit breaks, and her 3 limit breaks are insanely strong. The first one is going to be int damage reduction, which is okay. You know, it's nice. It actually works well with her her captain ability, so that's good. Especially since if she's a side character, you're probably using this against int content a lot anyways. Then the second one's gonna be critical hit, which is allowing you to take for 50% of the chance of the time, you're gonna do a 7% extra damage hit. And the thing that is the most monstrous and the best limit break for enrage in the entire game is going to be a plus 400 attack on enrage, putting her all the way up to 2,250 attack when she is taking any kind of damage. And this, since it's a cerebral, you could of course use the Colosseum Pedro, and that will allow you to reduce to take a lot of damage right away on your character, which procs your enrage and then gives you color affinity, lowers your HP. You get threshold characters all there, so that's all great. So that's really, really nice. I love this character a lot. She's a very, very strong unit. She pairs well with version 2 Rayleigh. She pairs well with V2 Law. She pairs really well with Croc. There's a lot of characters you can pair her with. It just really depends on what you want to use her for and where the death hit's going to be. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the showcase. Okay, so we're going to be running, the first thing we're going to be running is going to be the Doflamingo Forest. And this is kind of to showcase what happens when you get hit and show off the meat orb potential in this character, as well as showing off some of the damage potential you can have in this character as far as high-end damage goes. So going through the forest initially, we're just going to be killing all the normal guys. And when we get to the Virgo and what's it name? Monet stage, and we're gonna get HP cut by 80%. You can see that we actually heal for about 7,500 meat orbs if you catch it. Then going into some other stages, you can actually see that the damage reduction that we take is significant as far as damage reduction goes. The whole time I was doing this forest, I felt like somebody was hitting me with tissue paper. So it's really nice, and it feels really safe to play with Robin, because if you're playing the whole time and getting this kind of damage, it's great. And you can see I'm actually almost able to kill Pedro before the bind ends, and then when I actually do kill him, I'm like, wow, really? Plus this team has the ability to do less barrier penetration, a lot of other things, so there's a lot of safety around this team, and it's actually pretty cool. On this stage with the Gladius, what I did was on purpose I got poisoned, and the poison's here to show like exactly how much damage you can take over the time that you're doing these forests, and how much you can actually heal back up with this team without having to worry about it. And that part was really cool to me, that you could actually take this amount of damage and then throughout the fight still be able to deal a ton of damage while actually healing the whole time, and reducing all damage that you take by a significant amount. You can see we actually take a hit here from Pika, and even after taking a hit from Pika, we're able to keep going, and we're able to keep our HP up with the poison, which is really cool. I don't know any other characters in the game that can actually do that, where they can just eat the poison, and you can just chill with a lot of different mechanics, which is really funny to me. Then going in on the Doflamingo stage, you can see I was just getting a little bit of health back up here. And then I use a Robin special in order to heal back up a little. And what I did on a previous run is actually took a hit below 20% just because I wanted to on the Doflamingo, but didn't do it this time around. But you can see we're just doing massive amounts of damage and going into the 19th room. And what I'm going to show off here for the 19th room is some of the damage potential you can have with color affinity, the 2.25 ore boost from Law, the 2x type boost from Crocodile, and the 1.75 conditional that you have from Sabo. Now that's not every boost you can have in the game. You can probably still have chain lock, so if I wanted to show off a little bit more damage, what I've done is brought a version 2 Rayleigh friend, but I've already done that in another video, so I just kind of wanted to show off exactly how much damage you can be doing with this character. Now we're going to be going into Colosseum Pedro, and Colosseum Pedro is probably one of the most difficult Colosseums in the entire game, and was considered the most difficult Colosseum in the entire game until Colosseum Burgess, I believe. And from that point on, I mean, still like insanely difficult for a lot of different teams. And there's probably a couple more legends that can make use of different teams now and use other units. But one of the biggest problems is the death hit you take from Pedro, as well as not being able to use any colored orbs, which is a little tricky. And Shirahoshi is definitely MVP for here, because you can actually use her rainbow orbs to get kind of matching orbs. But you can also use tandem and recovery orbs to get full matching orb. But you need a different way of manipulating into recovery orbs, which is a little tricky. And one of the ways I did that was I was able to use different characters around here to get recovery orbs to make them more beneficial. What I could have done is put Koala in the bottom row, I believe, and I would have a recovery orb in her. I haven't tried it yet that way, but overall it's fine. What we're going to have here for this run, we're going to have a 2.25 orb boost. We're going to also have the 2.25 type boost with the Nami, and then a 0.7 chain boost from the Koala when we're doing our burst turn. Now the way I get that is on the room 4 here with Jinbei. Then we are going to kill Jinbei even with the attack down. I actually messed up and got a mistall here. But even with that, we're able to still do enough damage to kill all the Labans even with attack down, which is really interesting. And then on Jinbei, what I'm doing is actually, I'm going to take a hit because I'm using Shirahoshi here. And it's really nice to be able to take a hit here because you actually just have so much damage reduction, you just live through it. So my Nami is also off by 1 turn just because I messed up. So we're just going to take the 1 hit from the Jinbei and take 43% less damage, so it's really nice. And I'm trying to do not too much damage here, but I wasn't actually exactly sure how much damage I needed to do. And I just made sure I had matching orbs when I did a burst here. Otherwise, I would have waited 1 more turn and tried to get orbs, which is fine. So going into the final room here, we're going to go ahead and burst with a Nami here. And that's to use a 1.75 type boost and then bring in the 2.25 type boost into the final room. See if I'm messed up and actually did 2.75 million with just a type boost, which is pretty darn strong. And what's really interesting as well is that none of these units are boosted. The first time around this Colosseum came out, some of these units were boosted, they had increased stats and as well as lower cooldown, I believe. And this time around they actually don't, but we're still able to clear the Colosseum without any issue. So I'm using Koala here, it gives me a recovery orb as well as 2 matching orbs in the bottom row as well, 0.7 chain boost, a 2.25 type boost, so orb boost from Law. And then we actually bring in the type boost from Nami. And then we're going to use Robin to give me recovery orbs / matching orbs here. So that makes it really nice to kill this final boss, and we go ahead and just use our burst. And we do a sizable amount of damage. And if you don't know what Pedro does, on death, he's actually doing a massive death hit. I think it's like 40-something thousand damage or something ridiculous. So the last thing we're going to do today in the showcase is we're going to go and clear Invasion Garp. And one of the things that's really nice about the showcase that I liked is that I was able to clear the hardest content of the game for a very long time, which is Colosseum Pedro, and then beat the second hardest or third hardest or whatever you want to call it in content in the game after that with Invasion Garp. And this is actually a really, really tough set of content for a lot of players. And many people cannot clear this in general because of how difficult Invasion Garp is. So the nice thing here is that with Robin, we're actually able to use a lot of different sets of utility, but it's a little bit more RNG than I like. And that part, it's not great, but I mean, you're still able to pull it out even without fully matching orbs. And when I get into the final room the first time with this team, is I can actually get really badly matching orbs, and I was not expecting it. But most of the time what happens if you're doing Invasion Garp with a Robin team, you do get a little bit more matching orbs. I actually just got like 2 mismatching, or I get all mismatching orbs, I believe, so that was really sucky. So I decided to just go in 1 turn with the Nami and then go all in. Now, one of the things here on the initial stages is that you actually don't really care about how much damage you take because of how much damage you actually have. And it actually is really easy to stall out extra turns on the earlier stages because you have so much damage reduction. So you can just save 1 meat orb and then just take hits as long as you want. So if you don't have max specials, I was able to stall on turn 1, a couple extra turns, so you just eat those meat orbs. That's really nice about this place. I like that a lot. On this final burst turn, you do have options on how you want to do your burst. But you can see I got really unlucky with my matching orbs here. So I just decided to go as hard as I could. And then on the second turn of burst, I actually get full board matching orbs, which is really nice. Just getting 1 matching orb on one of the Robins is all you need. As long as you have 1 matching orb, then you should be fine. And that's over 2 turns. If you have 1 matching orb over 2 turns, you're perfectly fine. But if you don't have 1 matching orb over 2 turns, it's a little bit more difficult. So that's why this seems a little RNG, and it's not the best, but it does clear it. So this is just because I'm using this particular team. There are other teams you can use, and it works out just fine. You don't actually need the Shirahoshi, so if you did want to bring a different unit in to get orbs, that would actually be a smarter plan. And I think that's what I would do if I had to do this again. or try to do it with it just a little bit differently. The Shirahoshi was basically here just to get rid of the paralysis, and if I brought like a character that had a sailor that removes paralysis as well as gave me matching orbs, I'm really good. The character I'm thinking about right now would be Sicilian, because Sicilian lowers paralysis by 1 turn, which would be the perfect amount of turns to lower it by as a sailor ability goes, and then it gives me full board matching orbs on the final room if I which is really nice. And that's if I kill him on the first turn. So like if I stagger out my turns a little bit differently, I can actually use Sicilian perfectly on the stage. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be popping 1 Robin special in order to heal, to take one of the initial death hits and get some meat orbs. Now, unfortunately, I actually get some really bad luck with the placement of the meat orbs, and the Shirahoshi does provide me some extra healing here, so it's a little bit easier. So on the revive, it's a little tricky, but it's okay. Going in to the next turn with Garp, we can then, since we're at full HP right now, we can actually just chill out on the first turn. And then we were able to use Robin to survive a complete and utter death hit, which is actually kind of interesting. Overall, I don't think Robin is the best unit in the entire game, and not the safest unit in the entire game, but definitely a really, really fun unit to play with, and the damage reduction is really, really nice. So if you do want to play around there, go give it a shot. Alright guys, well my name is Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you smack the like button down below, as well as the subscribe button down below, so we get lots of support in the channel, and of course, keep the channel growing. If you guys do want to get notifications on all my videos, make sure you hit the bell notification right next to it so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace.